Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Week 15 Connects You launch. We'll be starting a series of launches on strategies for success, and the first of the series is on paraphrasing. So do you know what it means to paraphrase? One of the hardest things to do when you're taking notes is to make sure that you paraphrase information or to put it in your own words. When you're taking notes, you don't want to be writing every single word down word for word. You want to be looking for what's important and then paraphrasing that. So if you're looking at a big paragraph, you want to take the important parts and put it in your own words in a sentence or two. So when you're paraphrasing, if you use the acronym PARA, you should be putting the text in your own words, avoid copying the text, rearrange similar text, and ask yourself if you included all the important points. So you want to make sure that you're paraphrasing people. Putting information that you have read into your own words will help you to better understand it. Copying what you're reading word for word from the text will not help you learn information. I know a lot of you sometimes you'll show that you have 20 and 30 pages of notes, and that's entirely too many notes, and it's not helpful if that means that you're writing every word that you see. You want to get better at looking at headings and paragraph, the first sentence of a paragraph to see what the topic sentence is, looking for bolded words or highlighted words, and just trying to take fewer notes but on more important things and learning to paraphrase entire sections of material. Some different ways to paraphrase are to use flashcards or note cards. You can use Cornell Notes, and there's a link there to the blank Cornell Notes template. And basically Cornell Notes just focus on key terms and definitions. You could type them on a Google Doc, or you could use good old-fashioned notebook, paper, and pencil, and that is proven to be the most successful way to remember information. Writing something down with a pen and paper, you will learn it 7 times faster than you will by typing and just by reading. So make sure you're trying to take good notes. Also, paraphrasing prevents plagiarism. So in order to avoid plagiarism, which is copying somebody else's work and not giving them credit for it, you have to give credit when you use another person's ideas, opinions, or theories, when you use quotations from another person's spoken or written words, when you paraphrase another person's spoken or written words, or when you use facts, statistics, graphics, drawings, music, or anything else that is not common knowledge. So you can really save yourself a lot of trouble just by saying, according to dictionary.com, blah, and tell me what you learned. So you want to make sure that you're introducing your source and saying where you got the information. Remember your honor code. All of you signed an honor code when you enrolled with CPDLF. So if you look at the third one down, I will participate in the CPDLF educational program with honesty and integrity by submitting my own work. That is basically not plagiarizing. So by learning to paraphrase and to actually use quotes and summarize information and give credit where it's due instead of claiming it as your own. I have had a lot of you, especially in the history classes, finding information directly from the internet, copying and pasting it and turning it in as your own. Typically, we will give you one warning and show you what you need to do to change that. But if you continue to turn in work that's not your own, there will more than likely have to be advanced to the principal and for further repercussions. So quoting, paraphrasing, and summarizing, this is a really short video. I've already explained it a little bit, but Marita from Brave will just give you an example.
Sometimes you need to incorporate other people's ideas into your own writing. There are 3 ways to do that: quoting, paraphrasing, and summarizing. First, I'm going to talk about what each one is. When you're quoting something, you're taking what the author says word for word and putting it in your paper. When you're paraphrasing something, you're explaining a piece of what the author says in your own words, but still giving the author credit for the idea. When you're summarizing something, once again, you're saying it in your own words, but you're also shortening what the author says. Usually people choose to summarize when the author's passage is on the longer side. For all 3 of these techniques, you want to make sure you cite your author at the end, so that way you're not plagiarizing. So let's do some examples. This is a story that Queen Eleanor tells Merida in the movie Brave. It's going to act as our original passage. So if we wanted to quote it, we would take a specific part of it and put quotation marks around it. In this case, our quote is, "The oldest prince wanted to rule the land for himself. He followed his own path and the kingdom fell to war and chaos and ruin. And then at the end, we're going to put the author, in this case Queen Eleanor, at the end to show that we are using her words. Now let's move on to paraphrasing. If we were to paraphrase this passage, we'd say something like, "When the king grew old, he gave a piece of his land to each of his 4 sons so they could rule the kingdom together." And once again, we're going to put Queen Eleanor's name at the end to show that we are taking from her words. So in this sentence, we're focusing on the part of the passage that talks about the king dividing up the kingdom, and we're explaining it in our own words. Now let's summarize this passage, because it's kind of long. A summary would sound something like, "An ancient king divided his land among his 4 sons, but the oldest prince took the land for himself and drove the kingdom into ruin." So when we paraphrased, we focused on the king giving away the land. But here, we're also focusing on the fact that the prince took all of the land and the effects of that. And these are the 3 ways that you can incorporate somebody else's ideas into one of your papers. But the main thing to remember is that no matter which one of these techniques you use, you have to cite your author at the end. That way you don't plagiarize.
Okay, so basically when you're in doubt, make sure that you're citing everything. If it's not common knowledge to you, even if it's facts that you could look up on the internet, all you have to do is say, according to this website or according to this author, and then use quotes if you're using something directly, but you can never cite sources too much. In summary, paraphrasing involves taking a set of facts or opinions and rewording them. When paraphrasing, it is important to keep the original meaning and to present them in a new form. Basically, you are simply writing something in your own words that expresses the original idea. However, even when you paraphrase, even if you're rewording and putting it in your own words, you still have to cite where the original idea came from. You have to give credit to the original person. Paraphrasing helps you to learn the information. Writing things word for word will not help you to understand it any better. And paraphrasing is a sure bet that you are not plagiarizing when you're writing. So if you're ever in doubt and you're not sure, you can always reach out to your learning guide or your instructors and ask how to better write that, so that you're not going to be accused of plagiarizing, and they will help you. Just a reminder that the progress monitoring checkpoint number 3 is next Tuesday, December 5th. The recommendations for that time, if you are an OdysseyWare student, you should have completed 39% of your year-long courses and 78% of semester-long courses. So that would be your elective classes, any semester-long health or phys ed. And then if you are in the summit, everything to the left of the blue line should be green. So if you look at the picture below, we're approximately a third, almost a fourth of the way through this, or excuse me, 2/3 of the way through the school year. So when you look at that blue line, you want to make sure that everything to the left is turned green. And that's what we will be looking at whenever we go through for the progress monitoring. Your reflection question for this week's ConneXU launch: in a private comment, explain what it means to paraphrase. All right, have a good week, and we will talk to you next week.